Hello, film fans. Welcome to All the Film Things. I'm your host, Elizabeth. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, please leave a review and a rating. Also follow All the Film Things on Instagram for updates and more film things. Today's episode is rare in the sense that we will be talking about a horror film. For those who are frequent listeners of All the Film Things, first of all, thank you. You may recall the numerous times I say that I simply do not do horror. The film we are talking about today is the biggest exemption to that statement, as it is my favorite horror film. Today, we are talking about Stanley Kubrick's psychological horror film, The Shining. This classic and beloved horror film, starring Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, is celebrating its 45th anniversary this year, so what better way to celebrate Halloween early by having an analytical conversation about one of the greatest horror films ever made. Back, joining me is my friend, and I think it's safe to say now All the Film Things regular, movie critic Matthieu Côté.
Hey.
So, without further ado, here's Matthieu.
Yes, thank you so much for this very well introduction. Also, I can sense a little bit of nervousness when you did the introduction. I'm feeling the same way right now. I'm so nervous talking about this film because trying to do it justice. It's my favorite film of all time, so it's going to be difficult. And I'm also a little bit nervous. So maybe after a while we'll get a little bit more comfortable. But it's weird. I did a lot of interviews with big names, but right now I'm more nervous than when I did some of those interviews.
Yeah, right. I don't believe that.
I'm serious. I'm 100% serious, I swear.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm always nervous for episodes, but this one is very different because of how extensive and detailed it is. I mean, it's a Kubrick film, so there's reasons and analysis for everything in the film. So there's no way we're going to cover it all in 90 minutes, but we're going to try.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, welcome back and thank you for joining me today.
Yes, it's been a while. It's been a while since we just chatted because sometimes we up on a call and we just chat about movies and everything. So it's nice to come back for this. But yeah, I mean, I'm not lying when I say I'm nervous. So I have my notes, but I'll let you guide the discussion. Otherwise, I'll go all over the place. But it's nice to be back, Liz.
Yes, good to have you back. This is the fourth time you've been on the podcast.
Yeah.
And all of your episodes have been within the span of a year because the first time you were on the show was around this time last year to celebrate Les Samurai for November.
Yes.
So you've been on about as much as the main regulars, so that's pretty rare. So that's very exciting as well. But I've also been very excited about this episode. This film is one I've been wanting to discuss since I started this podcast 3 years ago, much like Requiem for a Dream, which was the focus of the last episode. But as you said, The Shining is your favorite film of all time, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, number one on Letterboxd. Sometimes I change my 4 favorites, but this one's always there to stay, and I feel like it's not gonna change. So the other ones, it depends on my mood, but The Shining is always number one, and yeah, it's been like that for a while.
Do you know how old you were when you first watched it?
Oh, snap. Well, okay, let's start with that. I was way too young the first time I saw The Shining, way too young. It was playing on television, and I was traumatized. I didn't watch the whole thing. It was just playing on cable TV. So, you're just watching it late at night. And the scene where he enters the room 237 and, the spirit is there and it's completely disgusting. I had to switch channel and turn it off. So that's the first time. I feel like I was maybe 8, 9 years old. Way too young to see that film. Yeah.
Oh, did you have nightmares?
I did actually, and there's also this sequence where Danny comes back after he visit the room 237, and then his shirt is ripped off and everything, and I have like vivid image in my head of that, and that traumatized me as a kid. So it took me a while to go back to it. So we'll get back to this, but the first time I watched it as a whole film, I was probably like 15 or 16 years old, something like that.
Oh, it had been a while. Okay.
Oh yeah, I was traumatized, so I was scared to watch it, back. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so when you watch it the second time, that's when you realized, oh, this is my favorite film of all time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I started looking on IMDb. Is there other films like that? Is there trying to find other references, similar films? But there's no other films like The Shining. It's a unique piece of cinema, and that's why I love it.
Have you seen Burnt Offerings?
I haven't.
It was released a few years prior to The Shining, and there are some very key similarities.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you? It's the Burnt Offerings.
Burnt Offerings. Karen Black is in it. Betty Davis. I'm shocked you haven't seen it because it's one I watched it a few years ago. The volume was mostly down, so I can't tell you so much. But I was watching it and I realized, oh, this is similar to The Shining. There's several similarities, so you should definitely watch it. You should find it.
Well, it's Spooktober. We're the month of October, so I'll make
Yes.
sure to add it on the list, and that might be something I watch during this month because I feel like I've heard about it. Like right now, I'm looking at it. Great poster, by the way. I love it. So we'll see if it. I don't think it's as good as The Shining because that's
it's
almost
not.
impossible. Okay.
No, it's not, but it's very similar, and it was released before The Shining, which is very interesting. I don't know if Kubrick ever spoke about it, but I wanted to put it on your radar because I've seen it.
Okay.
And I don't watch horror.
All right, I had just added it to my watch list, but yeah, just to say that the first time I saw some scenes of The Shining traumatized me, and I almost had like 10 years to wait and digest it and then watch it for like start to beginning, and I was all cuddled up, and all the lights were turned down, and I think it ended like 3 a.m. I started very late, and I was just like mesmerized, hypnotized, and I knew I just watched one of the best film of all time.
Wow. Okay. I kind of thought maybe you would have immediately loved the film, but to hear that it was a very traumatic experience at first is very fascinating. As you do work on horror Quebec, this seems to have been sort of the beginning of horror for you.
Well, what would be the beginning of horror for me was like the Friday the 13th movie, the slashers like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees. I would go to like a little, video store and rent those films with my friends, and we would just like have a blast with it because they're not actually scary. It's just, I don't think they're really scary, but the thing with Shining is just, it's just, I'll keep saying it's just traumatizing, and there's some imagery that it's engraved in my mind, like even after all those years. And it's special because when you see it in the eyes of a kid, there's some image in there that I remember a certain way, but it's not actually like that in the film when you watch them. So it's kind of special how it messed up your perception of the images that you're seeing. So it really kind of messed me up. So we were always renting horror movies, and sometimes my dad would be, "Oh, we can rent The Shining." I was like, "No, I can't do that."
It took a minute. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like you, my first watch, I didn't immediately love it.
Okay.
So I had been convinced by my cousin to watch the film.
Okay.
He said it wasn't so bad. I can handle it. It's more psychological. And I listened to him. Now, whenever someone tells me that, I don't listen. So I watched it, and I shouldn't have started it at night. It was leaving Netflix, and I watched it the very last day before it left Netflix.
How old were you?
I was 18.
Okay.
And I start playing the film, and then as I do, my dad's leaving, and, the opening scene already unnerves you with its score. So my dad was saying, like, "Oh, really inviting, huh? You think you can handle this?" And so after that, I had turned the volume down for the rest of the film. And I could hardly hear the film. I would just watch without audio. And
so you watched the whole thing on mute?
Not mute, but really close to mute.
Okay.
So I did it. I got through it. I was proud of myself. And then 2 weeks later, it was playing on TV, and I thought, oh, well, you know what? I've seen what happens on screen. How about I watch it with the audio now, with the dialogue, with the score? And I did, and I was fine. And I really then appreciated the film. And immediately the next day, I was like, can I go get the DVD in person? And so then I got the DVD for like $4.
Nice.
And ever since, I've really appreciated it. It's not one I can really revisit often. It still scares me. And I only can watch it in the mornings or in afternoons, never at night. Never at night. So I watched it once ahead of this episode, and I told myself, okay, I'm not watching it a second time. But then my dad had put it on TV the other night, and I was like, oh man, I guess I'm going to watch it. So I watched it twice within a week. So I'm still, quite affected by it, but I didn't get any nightmares this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's special you say that because, maybe it's because I love horror, but one of my my habit as a movie viewer is I tend to, once I like a movie, I watch it over and over again. And that's what happened with The Shining. We'll get to that later, but it's a movie I would put on loop and get totally like obsessed with. So it's weird. We all have our different habits as movie viewer, but The Shining, I can't count the amount of time I've watched it. Sometimes just in the background because it's very atmospheric. So that's something that I like to have in the background with the music, but at the end of the day, it's the Overlook Hotel. If there's one location in actual like movie land that I would love to explore, it would be that, if it's not haunted. Just like a regular visit through the Overlook Hotel, that would be fine.
So there's several different sites that they used for the film. Some of it's just the exterior shots, some of it's just filming inside, but Kubrick basically recreated it. So which site for The Shining do you have your eye on to visit first?
The Gold Room first.
Oh, well.
And then the Colorado Lounge. That's the two of them. But at the end of the day, it's all of it, just wandering around the hallways. But like you mentioned, that's very special because the exterior is the Timberline Lodge. And in the interior, it was inspired by Stanley Kubrick's visit to a Hawaii hotel in Yosemite National Park. So it's very mythical and special the way he built the whole thing. But at the end of the day, all the location inside, it's all like mostly on a studio lot. I feel like there's different sites. I have a site here. There's probably like 10 different sets that he built for that, maybe more than that. So it's special the way he built the whole thing, like from inspiration by himself when he went inside the Hawaii hotel, but also using an exterior location. If you try to map it out, it doesn't make sense. Like it kind of no, and that's something I love about it.
I didn't look into that aspect so much, but I did watch a video that was very helpful, and the way people analyzed the scenes so closely, and how, like Danny riding on a tricycle, for example, it couldn't be done the way his path through the hotel. People have such a great eye. You showed me a website where someone looks at every piece of art in the film.
Yeah.
Even if it's blurred out or if it's in the distance, this guy still found it. It's incredible, but this also speaks to the level of detail that Kubrick adds to his films. He's a mastermind.
Well, I just love how we perceive the film differently. I think we all have our own vision of that film. And to have someone being so obsessed that he goes like out of his way to take all those screenshots of all the paintings. And if you click on his website, there's an analysis of every single one of the painting and his interpretation of those paintings. But even there, I was looking at one of them and I was not even agreeing with his opinion. So I had also had a different opinion of what the painting meant for me. So it's very interesting in what way and how we all have our different interpretation of that film. And, you know, the elephant in the room, Stephen King hated the film. He didn't like it. And that's also a way to show, like, it goes to tell, like, even if it's a masterpiece in my hand, some people might not like it. Some people might love some aspect of it. And some people just might be indifferent about it. So, but that's the power of cinema, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. There's so many interpretations to the ending as well, which I'm sure we're going to get to, even though I can't fully understand it. I'm sure you have your theories, which I'm really interested in learning. But as you mentioned, you do watch films throughout October because it is the month of Halloween. And by the time this episode comes out, it'll be about a week prior to the holiday.
Okay.
I mean, as you've already said, like you do with summer, you have a few films that you watch for the spooky season. So where in the lineup do you place The Shining? Is it your grand finale that you watch always on Halloween each year?
No, not necessarily. Usually I like to watch movies I haven't watched before during the month of October. So I give place to new movies, give a chance to some film, and I make some wonderful discoveries. So I think 6 or 7 years ago, I started doing the October marathon. So 31 days, 31 movies, and 31 movies I haven't seen before. That was the main goal, just to push me to watch new horror movies. And I discovered some wonderful films. Jacob's Ladders, one of the films that I really remember from that time. Taste of Fear is another one that I absolutely love. I won't name it all, but I made some extremely beautiful discoveries and watching some cinema I wouldn't have before if I didn't make the effort to do this marathon.
That's so cool that you do that. So you map out every day which horror film it'll be.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow. So You put a lot of thought into this month. Okay.
Yeah, but right now it's different this year and even last year. I have a girlfriend now, so I don't have much
Yes.
time, and she doesn't like horror movies, so I'm not able to watch it with her. She's not able to tolerate that, so I totally, at some point also, like you, I mean, we have a life to live, so we can't always be watching movies, but for like 5 or 6 years, I did that religiously and discovered some wonderful film. I do recommend doing that to everyone. And sometimes I would just have a list, 31 films and more. And depending on my mood, I would pick one. It's not necessarily mapped out for every day.
Well, still, that's very impressive. I mean, you do something similar around summer, so that's very cool. If I liked horror, then that would be something I would join you in, but no.
I could send you something for 2022 and 2023. I did a video, kind of like a recap of the whole month, just like taking a segment of the films, and it's on my YouTube channel. I'll send it to you, and just to give you some, recommendation if you're interested. But I'm sure you won't because you don't like horror films.
I'm not watching any more horror films. I'm done. Maybe Psycho around Halloween, but that's it. I'm done. No more horror.
But Liz, honestly, some of them, they're psychological. It's not jump scare. It's not gory.
Yeah,
so
I
I'll
heard
try
that
to find.
before.
Yeah, but maybe I'll try to find some recommendation that you might like, but I'm not forcing you to.
No. I was told, oh, you'll be fine watching Get Out. I was crying. The Shining terrified me. I've managed to get past it, and I'm not willing to do that anymore. So
Fair enough.
I'm happy to just love The Shining and Psycho and just very few horror films.
Yeah, but some of them on my list would be like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's not even scary. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
The Young Frankenstein. It's funny. So it's not always like pure horror. So I'll try to find a list for you, and you don't have to watch them. Just some recommendation that you might like.
The door is closed on me and horror.
Okay, all right. I tried.
I can't risk the nightmares. I'm very nightmare prone if I watch a scary film. Or even a paranoid thriller at night, okay? So I have to be careful. But are you
fair.
a particular fan of Stanley Kubrick's work or of anyone starring in the film?
Well, I mean, Kubrick, of course, he's probably the greatest one to ever do it.
That's what they say.
Yeah, all of his films, I love all of them. Sometimes it would be just watching Full Metal Jacket. Even some of his weirder film like Lolita, I absolutely love that one. I was talking with one of my friends, a cinephile, and he mentioned Barry Lyndon as his favorite. I think we all have our favorite film because his filmography is so dense and it's very diverse. There's a lot of different films in it, and it shows his range as a filmmaker. Surprisingly so. There's one I haven't seen, and it's his last one. I haven't seen Eyes Wide Shut,
What?
and I'm keeping it as a special, treat. One day
Yes.
I'll be like, oh, thank God, there's one I haven't seen, and it's Eyes Wide Shut. I haven't seen that one. Might watch it for Christmas because apparently it's kind of a Christmas movie.
Yes, it can be a Christmas film, but I respect that you do that. I do the same with Heath Ledger films, so
Okay.
that's a good idea that you're holding off on his final film.
Well, otherwise, I mean, what's the point? Like, you've seen them all. It's
Exactly.
sad. It's sad.
Yeah.
So I want to have this one that at some day I'll really feel like it. I'll be in the mood. And like, you know what? Today it's Eyes Wide Shut time, and I'll watch it because I haven't seen it. Unfortunately, this is a confidence between you and me. Sometimes I lie. I'm like, yeah, I've seen it to someone, to a cinephile, because I feel almost ashamed I haven't seen it. We all do that, right?
No.
You don't do that.
No. I'm honest.
I usually do it, but earlier you asked me about bird offerings. I was honest. I told you I haven't seen it. But Eyes Wide Shut is just, I almost feel ashamed I haven't seen it. But you know what? I'm keeping it to myself, and one day I'll watch it, and I'll be glad I kept it for for a special occasion.
Here's a Kubrick film I'm ashamed to have not seen: 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh my God, Liz!
I know.
Oh my God!
I need to find it. I need to watch it.
Find it. I mean, I'm sure you can find it everywhere, but it's a masterpiece. Like, I talked to my uncle. It's his favorite film of all time. So I kept, I go back to what I was saying earlier. We all have our favorite Kubrick, I think. Mine is The Shining, but on a different day, maybe a few years ago, I would have said 2001, but for a while it's been The Shining. But
yes,
you need to watch it. Absolutely. You might be scared a little bit while watching it.
Well, that's part of why I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Because
I understand.
there's a scene that I've been concerned about.
Which one?
I don't know. I just read about it a long time ago and it sounded scary. So I've held off on it. But speaking of people in the film to like, Jack Nicholson, one of my favorite
Yes.
actors. It's really quite impossible to pick out, of all the masterclass performances Jack gave over his decades-long career, one singular best performance.
Yeah.
Many cite his character of R.P. McMurphy in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as his best, but many also bring up Jack Torrance. Do you believe Jack gives his best performance in this film?
I don't know if it's his best. My personal favorite, we talked about, I feel like on the previous podcast, or maybe just when we're chatting, but Easy Rider is probably my favorite Jack Nicholson performance because
I have so much respect for that answer. Thank you.
yeah, it's probably my personal favorite. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest might be his best, but there's something about The Shining, his performance. It's so over the top, but I love it, and nobody else could have played that role like he did. So for that, I would rank it very, very high. But I think in the hands of a different director, it wouldn't have worked. With a different actor, it wouldn't have worked. So it's a perfect symbiosis of like just movie magic. It's simply that. And I don't know if you've seen it, but Stephen King said one of the issues he had with the film is because right from the start you can tell he's psychotic and like he's losing his mind like right from the start. And in the book, like he's trying to develop this certain sense of is he crazy? Is he not crazy? And this thing about his performance is one of the reasons he didn't like the film. But for that, I completely disagree. I love that right from the start, when they have this drive, they go to the Overlook Hotel, and Danny he's telling him like, "Oh, Dad, I'm hungry." He's like, "Well, you should have eaten before." He's already like exhausted to go spend his time with his family. And the more it moved forward, we can talk a bit about the themes of the film, but there's a certain problem with masculinity and how he's being super mean to Wendy throughout the whole film. And I feel like the reason the movie works is because he just looked angry and crazy the whole time.
Oh yes, we're going to be talking about Jack, and you did kind of answer one of my questions that we'll talk more in depth, but you did mention Stephen King. Did you read the book?
I did. Yes, I did. And that's actually true, though. I did read the book. Yes.
Now I'm going to be hesitant. Are you lying? Are you telling the truth?
No, I'm going to be honest starting from now. Well, I've been since the beginning. I just told you a secret that sometimes I lie about having watched a film or not.
Okay. Before we get into discussing the film, I want to read the IMDb plot summary. A family heads to an isolated hotel for the winter, where a sinister presence influences the father into violence. At the same time, his psychic son sees horrifying forebodings from both the past and the future. Okay, so, as I mentioned, what terrified me in the beginning of the film and caused me to turn down the volume was the opening scene, which is just a title sequence with the backdrop of the mountain. And as I said, it's uninviting as the audience from the start cannot allow themselves to get comfortable. Did this score make you hesitant to continue watching?
Oh, no.
Oh.
No, not at all. It's one of the reasons I love the film. It's so unique and there's a sound to it. There's a tempo to it. Right now we're talking, the movie's in the background, and it's this scene where Jack Torrance is riding in the Colorado Lounge, and there's this all lead up to the moment Wendy just interrupts him while he's writing, and there's this big string like zoom section that it's extremely like jarring. It just hits you, and that's why I love the film. It's unpredictable with the soundtrack, and that's something I love. So no, not at all. And there's also the use of some of the music, like the one that plays during the end credits. We'll go back to that, but the score itself is fantastic, and it didn't want me to turn. If anything, like, if I would go back to watch the film, I would just like start getting hypnotized and mesmerized by the soundtrack. And of course, the aerial photography during the opening is absolutely stunning. The helicopter shots. These days, everyone, they use drones. I was on a video shoot today. I was using a drone, but there's something about an actual film crew in an helicopter taking those swooping shots while they go through the hill. It's a fantastic opening.
What do you think Kubrick wanted to accomplish by pairing this uneasy score with shots of the mountain at the very beginning of the film?
Well, imagine if you take the music off and it's kind of like this music you would see in a family comedy or something like that. Totally different film. So
Oh, yeah.
the score tells you need to be scared. Something is wrong. It's just letting the audience know that something is gonna go wrong. So that's something I love about it.
Yes. Now, the first scene in the film is of Jack going to the Overlook for the first
Yes.
time, and he has an interview
Yes.
based on Jack's discussion with Ullman and Bill. Based on the job description, taking away the end result in the film, do you think you would take the job that Jack is being given?
Me personally, oh
Yes.
boy. Well, just because I want to visit the Overlook, maybe I would say yes, but it would depend on my situation. And what is clear about this whole interaction is that Jack is trying to escape his own reality. He's trying to avoid this problem. So he thinks that maybe this job will help him solve his writer's block, his writing problem, his problem with alcohol, his problem with his family. So right from the start, he's just trying to escape his problem. So that might be something I would do out of stupidity, and maybe I would take the job. It depends on the whole situation. But to answer your question, I guess I would have maybe like a year or two ago. Maybe I would have taken the job because I'm like, you know what? I'll just take a year off and I'll go there and I'll try to write something, and I would probably end up losing my mind like Jack did. So is it a good answer? I don't know. But what is clear is that there's something in the book that's very obvious, is that first of all, Stuart Ullman, he has a bigger role in the book. I think he's there for like the first 100 pages, and Jack despises him. Like he has some commentary about how he despised this character. But in the movie, he looks like this nice guy. Just like he warns him about the whole situation that happened in room 237.
Yeah.
And there's a line I love, is like, with solitude, isolation can be a problem. And Jack is like, no problem, with his big smile and his eyebrows that clearly screams, I'm crazy. So that's something I love about the opening scene. Yeah. And also, did you notice Stewart's assistant?
Bill? Yeah.
Yeah. He looks like a ghost this whole time. He's very stoic. There's no reaction. He's just standing there, but he looks like a creepy freaking ghost the whole time. I love this little detail in the film. So yeah, there's something about it I really love.
What do you think Ullman and Bill know about the hotel? About what
That's
they
a good
say?
question.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're probably well aware of the hotel being haunted, because I'm sure there's been other caretaker since the massacre happened. Because I don't feel like it happened a year after, right? I feel like there's a couple of years that went by, so they're probably aware of some manifestation of the hotel. And as he mentioned, sometimes he literally said like, "Oh, there's some tales that it's been built on the old Indian ground." We'll get back to it, by the way. Like mental note, if you can remind me that. But there's something about it that I think they're very aware of what's going wrong with the hotel, and that they're trying to like give him this job and be like, okay, we'll make sure everything is fine. But at least they tell him the truth, and clearly Jack doesn't care. He just want to escape his problem, and he goes in. So that's kind of like both their fault, right? If everything unfolds, I feel like they're both guilty.
It's interesting that you say how differently he's viewed from the book to the film, because it makes you wonder. It does seem like they know something.
Yeah.
But I also wonder, how much does Dick Halloran know, and if he's a confidant of the two of them and they're all working together, because, Danny does confide in him, but
Yeah.
he's also concealing information about the hotel.
Yeah.
So he knows something, and he does come to save the day, even though it's indirectly.
Yeah.
But his association with Ullman and Bill makes you wonder, okay, is he in on this? Do they have ill intentions with this job? Do they know what's going to happen to him and potentially to his family?
Yeah, the reason I think it's a very good question you have is because it's one other case of we don't have the answer. If Stuart and Bill, are they in on it, or if they're not, we don't know, and I guess we'll never know. But to me, what is clear is that I feel like Dick is 100% aware of it, because at some point Danny asked him when they have their conversation, and he said, what about room 237? And he said, never go there. Like, I think to me it's obvious that he knows something is off, that something had happened. And since he has also The Shining, he has the same power as Danny. To me, it's obvious that Dick knows about it. I don't know if he's in on it. I just feel like he's trying to do good by warning him about that room. So in some ways, I do feel like he knows, but Stuart and Bill, maybe they're just innocent, or maybe that's the way Stanley Kubrick just portrayed him on screen as being like those kind of like very inviting and like, oh yeah, you'll see, this is a great hotel, but hey, by the way, small detail, the last, one of the last caretaker like butchered his family in the room. See, he's being very like open about it, but also kind of inviting and deceptive. So if did they know? Sure, they know something happened, but do they know if it's haunted or not? I don't know, but clearly Dick knew about it.
Yes, he knew about it. I'm interested to learn if he tells Ullman and Bill about this. But the scene in the interview, he does come across as a nice guy, but there's a cold feeling in the scene.
Yeah.
One of the reasons this film was not appreciated at the time was because of its disconnected characters.
Yeah.
And Ullman, while he's nice and he's, very businesslike, there's just something off. I guess if he was overly welcoming, that would be even scarier and even more of a red flag. But it is hard to tell. But the book does give some helpful information, it seems.
But to me, this is why the movie works, is because you have a feeling, you have a hunch that something's wrong, but he's giving this old persona as if he's the nice guy, like you said, the nice businessman with his outfit, with his like leather jacket and his nice haircut. But I love the shot when it cuts to Bill and he's just very serious. And like I said, to me, it looks like a ghost. So are they hit on it? I feel like they are. You know what? I just answered the question. Yes, I think they are. I'm thinking while we're talking, but I feel like he is on it. Yeah.
Okay. I feel as though that you're right. I mean, I don't know how much Bill speaks. I don't think he really says anything. But the times we do cut to him is very telling.
Yeah. You mentioned something about why people don't like the film. I don't want to jump to another subject, but I don't know if you remember, but the movie was nominated to the Razzies. The Razzies are a joke, but one of the worst performance ever was Shelley Duvall.
And worst director for Kubrick.
Yeah, well, that's
can you imagine nominating Stanley Kubrick for worst director? Who in their right mind would do such a thing?
I think it was the first year of the Razzies, so they were just trying to get attention. But I want to talk about Shelley Duvall's performance, if you agree. I personally love the casting of her, and it's unfortunate that, she was not tortured during the shooting, but she had it difficult, I feel like. And there's the infamous 116 takes while she's in the Colorado Lounge with Jack toward the end. So I feel sorry for her, the way she was treated in some way. But I feel like at the end of the day, Stanley Kubrick, you get the best out of her. So I love her performance in it. And she's kind of like innocent but kind. And the whole time she's just trying to do good. I love the fact that she's in the film. And I don't care if it's not, I don't say not perfect, but it's perfect for what the film is. So I'm curious, what do you think about her performance in the film?
I think it's really, he really did push her to the limits, and to hear about how she was basically crying for 9 months of the 1 year shoot. But even when she talks about how hard and challenging of a role it was, she talks about how grateful she was for the role and how it expanded her talents as an actress. Yeah. And she doesn't bear any ill will towards Kubrick, apparently. All the interviews of hers that I've seen, she seemed like the nicest, sweetest person.
She is.
So for her to continue to applaud him for his work in this film and for pushing her is extraordinary. I know he pushed her and Scatman Crothers, who played Dick Halloran.
Yeah.
But I like Shelley Duvall's performance. I don't watch many horror films, so I can't quite tell how she compares to like other Scream Queens and other famous horror portrayals, famous horror characters, but I think she did a good job. I know it's still divisive if she was good in the role or not. I like Shelley Duvall. I think she was very good in the role, and I'm sad that she's passed now. It's been a year, so.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, so it's a little bit sad how the end of her life went out. I think she had some health issues and everything, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's a perfect performance, but I feel it fits perfectly the movie she's in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and Jack Nicholson said it was the toughest role he's ever seen an actress portray, so he's always has high remarks for her as well. I just want to go back to the interview for a moment, because you were talking about Jack and his possible motivations for taking the job.
Yeah.
I think one of his motivations is he wants an opportunity. He is afraid of being stuck at a certain level or class, I guess. I think he feels somewhat honored to be given the responsibility to
Mhm.
talk with these important people and to look over the hotel, and it could give him quite a boost for finances. And hearing him in that famous scene with him going around the hotel taunting Wendy, he's saying that this is my responsibility. I signed a
Yeah.
contract. And he's terrified to go back to labor jobs, to jobs that won't get him really anywhere, but this job is an opportunity for him. So
Mhm.
I think people can empathize with him, his character in that way, that he wants that opportunity to get to the next level. He's been given this chance. And I think that's also partly why he carries out, well, he tries to carry out the task
Mhm.
of killing his family from Grady and the others of the hotel. It's an opportunity. That's
Yeah.
just something I really caught on to watching it more recently, is
Yeah.
how he's just striving for a chance to get out of where he's at for a better life, basically.
Yeah, because he clearly had some trouble with his own family, and that's
Hmm.
also one of the thought I just had while we're talking is like, why did he drag his whole family into this? Like,
Yeah.
because one of the theories is that he's all well. It's not a theory. At the end of the film, he's part of the picture at the 1921 Fourth of July
Hmm.
ball. So it's kind of like the hotel, the spirit of the hotel, that's kind of like bringing him back. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, I kept thinking like, why did he drag his own family? Because if you want to escape his family and get away from his trouble, he could have just gone himself by
Yeah.
himself. So I think it's weird that he brought his own family. I think he was maybe part of him was trying to build something else, something different, but was it unconscious? Was he under a spell? We'll never know. That's another one of those cases in this film.
It didn't cross my mind. Why couldn't he have just gone himself? His son
Yeah.
doesn't want to go. Wendy is so positive. She's like Shelley, she's so sweet. And it's Jack has this disdain for her, this contempt for his wife. It's sad to see because he just doesn't really care what she says. He's just focused on the hotel and getting his
Yeah.
writing done, focused on himself. And there's a theory about this film being about reincarnation. And
Yeah.
this marriage is kind of an old time marriage.
Hmm.
He's providing for his family. The wife is very much secondary. She caters to him. She gets him breakfast. She gets him lunch. She's like a full time mom, I imagine.
Yeah.
And he just does not seem to really love her. And there's a suggestion that because he mentions she ruined his life,
Yeah.
it makes you wonder, is Danny an accident? And they're kind of stuck together.
That's a good theory. And you mentioned how she's so kind-hearted, like the breakfast sequence. She just bring him like his eggs with bacon, and she just
Hmm.
asks him, "Oh, we could go for a walk afterwards." And he's already like, "Yeah, well, I have to work and everything." He seemed like
Yep.
exhausted being with her, and that's so mean
Hmm.
because she's so sweet. And then the next scene, she goes with Danny in the maze, the
Yeah.
famous maze that they go in. So she's just always trying to like everyone be happy and everything, but in some ways, like, why was he so mean to her? Is there some things we don't know? Probably, but I think it's interesting that you mentioned like the reincarnation theory. That might be
Hmm.
one of the reason why. Also, maybe just the spell of the hotel, because I
Yeah.
think we fast forward a month later after we cut from the interview scene, and then they're all there, settled down, and maybe the hotel has already worked its magic, or well, its spell on Jack, so he's just losing it. But clearly, I mean, the scene with Delbert Grady, he tells him
Hmm.
like, you've always been the caretaker. So that's like one of the
Oh,
like important line in trying to theorize the film. Yeah.
one of the most chilling lines.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The first scene, the phone call between Jack and Wendy, she'll say something and he just kind of plows right past it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
She's more like a sounding board.
Mm.
But yeah, it makes you wonder I mean, one of my questions was going to be, do we ever see the real Jack in this film?
Hmm.
And as you suggested, he's under the spell of this hotel, so we may not see the real Jack. But the only time that makes me wonder is after he awakes from his nightmare, he's freaked out about
Yeah.
the brutal murders that he saw in his dream.
Hmm.
So I wonder if that's the real Jack peeking through, or he's just always like this. But gosh, my mind's going all different places because of how
It,
crazy this film is.
it was gonna happen for sure. We knew it
Oh
was gonna
yeah.
happen.
Well, I mean, this happens to me every time, but
Yeah.
um, you wondered why Jack doesn't really care so much for his wife, isn't so loving towards his wife. he does resent her. I imagine for drinking and to always be a little nervous about him being around Danny because of the incident, how he struck him when he was very young. I don't know how old Danny is in the film, but 3 years ago he gets struck? He must have been like a baby or something.
Yeah.
So he resents her for that, bringing it up.
No, but yeah, you mentioned there's this scene in the gold room. So he's sitting there and he started hallucinating for I think probably the first time. He has this interaction. He's actually not hallucinating, he's dreaming, but he has an interaction with the bartender. And he said, as long as I live, she'll always resent me for that. And he's clearly like having some issues getting over that. But I feel like at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but I think he's just like a shitty person. He's just like, that's the problem here. And it's clearly obvious that he's not able to get over it. And he tries, because apparently when they go to the hotel, he's actually, I feel like 6 months sober. And when they make the tour, he goes to the gold room and he's like, well, all the alcohol has been like taken away. And he's like, oh, it's all right. We're not drinking. Once again, clearly being like triggered by this whole situation. So when he goes to the gold room after Wendy accused him of hurting Danny, this is where he's actually having his hallucination. And the reason I say he's dreaming, he's not hallucinating, is because if you notice, when Wendy comes back and she's screaming and she wakes him up, we just see him from the back, but he's clearly like sleeping. You need to watch that shot and you notice that he was sleeping the whole time. So difficult to say what is real and what is not in this film, and maybe it's just it's not a good theory, but to me it's obvious that he was dreaming. And this scene is very I think it's one of the most crucial scene in the film.
It's the scene that you broke down in your video on your YouTube channel. And that moment where you mentioned that he was dreaming, I didn't catch that until I watched your video. It's very subtle. He does jump up. But it makes sense because apparently when Danny has these visions, he's sleeping. And both Danny and Jack have The Shining. And earlier, as we talked about with the typewriter scene where he's dreaming and he wakes up having seen these brutal murders, him killing his family, he was sleeping. And in the very beginning of the film, jumping around here, Danny...
He passes out.
And that's when the doctor is called. And it's a sort of auto-hypnosis, apparently. So Tony's putting Danny in an auto-hypnosis. So is Grady putting Jack in an auto-hypnosis?
Probably. I mean, I feel like it is, because there's so many sequences like that. And I also love, like, once again, I'll be jumping around myself, but there's some things that are left to interpretation and that it's best not to see. So the scene where he wakes up and he's having like, he said like, yeah, I dreamed that I chopped you in pieces and everything. Thank God they didn't show that. But I feel like it's worse in that way because we make the image in our head, and that's even more like evocative in some way. So I do love that a lot of, there's show don't tell, but sometimes there's tell don't show. So that's something I love about that.
It works very well, and I don't even think at the time they could show that. I mean, this film is from 1980, so we're just exiting the new Hollywood era. They couldn't be as graphic and explicit as they would be today. So, talking about Grady, I am trying to establish what exactly the connection is between them. Do you know? Is he basically the equivalent to Tony for Jack?
You know, that's a good question. I haven't thought of that really. And there's some things with movies that I like to not think too much about. I just like to feel it. And to me, there's something so weird about it. Like, I feel like, all right, let's put out a theory out there, but maybe Delbert Grady has always been the caretaker and he's just lying to Jack so that Jack stays at the hotel and he keeps like, you know, have this relation with the hotel. But then this theory is being contradicted by the final shot where we see him and we see the shot, you know, the picture at the ball. Or maybe it's Kubrick like screwing with us and this shot is to influence us in a different direction. There's so many ways to go that I don't have an answer to your question, but I feel like it's clear, it's obvious. It's told in the film. Delbert Grady was there. He was the caretaker, and he slashes his family and everything, and he killed them. Because when he went there, he saw a different version of Jack Torrance and he was influenced and then he's trying to influence him back. So it's this old full circle thing that they're stuck in this loop with the curse of the Overlook Hotel. I don't know, but I love speculating about it.
Okay. So it's okay to not know that immediately because there's some things that I'm asking today that I'm still confused about, and that's one of them. Of course, there's all these theories, and as you mentioned, you have one. But the information we get about Grady from the interview conflicts with the information we get from Grady himself.
Yes.
So in the interview, his name is Charles Grady, and Ullman says his daughters are about 8 and 10. Yet the daughters that we see in the film are absolutely identical twins.
Yeah.
And his name is Delbert Grady.
Yeah. So we're being lied to as an audience, but keep going.
Yes.
But yes, that's exactly what's going on.
And that Grady killed his family, according to Ullman, in 1970, yet we see him at a party in the 1920s.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did watch a video that suggested that time doesn't really exist in this hotel, and we're seeing different decades coincide with each other. Something interesting about time for the film is I've noticed that we are given access to every other day. So we'll see like a Monday and a Wednesday, or maybe it's the opposite, Tuesday and then Thursday. So it's never 2 days in a row. I mean, I guess from one day going into like the 8 a.m. title card, it would be the next day, but that's really it. Now, this is like an oddball thing to say, but I just noticed that Jack Torrance and Delbert Grady have 12 letters in their name, and it's kind of similar to Harry Potter and Tom Riddle. So that's just a connection that probably makes no sense, but there was a line from the Chamber of Secrets that reminded me of this situation and the possible connection between Jack and Grady. So that's why my mind went there.
Yeah, another theory could be that Jack Torrance, well, the one from the 1920s, reincarnated into Delbert Grady, and then Delbert Grady reincarnated into Jack Torrance. But I don't feel like the timeline makes sense. So at this point, like you said, I feel like time doesn't make sense in the Overlook Hotel, and clearly Stanley Kubrick is playing trick on the audience with that film. To me, that's obvious, and that's why we're never able to make sense of that film. And that's why I love it so much, because just now talking about it, it makes me love it even more, as if I couldn't even like it even more than I already do. There's all this thing. And we were talking, I don't know if you're done with that topic, but I want to talk a little bit about the paintings and everything.
Oh, yeah. I was going to talk about at some point, well, we already mentioned how the film wasn't viewed so highly when it was released.
Yeah.
And compare it to the Oscars. We can talk about that now if you'd like, since you want to talk about the paintings, because the film Tess won Best Costume Design, Best Cinematography, Best Art Direction, and you really love the production design, as do I. You sent me this incredibly extensive article about the art that we referred to earlier.
Yeah.
Of every painting, tracking down who made the painting, the year, where it's from. It's really incredible. But what did you want to say about the production design?
Well, one of the first thing I already mentioned is that I think I would spend days in the hotel just wandering around the hallways, because it has such a unique look and it's endless, and it feels like a maze by itself. Sure, there's the maze outside, but even the hotel, like if you look at the layout, like we said, it doesn't make sense. But it's all the painting, it's the color palette, it's the details, of course, the elevators with the blood, and there's something about it that it's kind of like, I was going to say pissed me off, too late I said it. It kind of pissed me off with the recent films like Dr. Sleep and the way we see it in Ready Player One. It's not a playground, but it feels like right now Hollywood feel like it's kind of a playground to go back to that place. And there's this scene in Dr. Sleep where Rose the Hat, at the end, they go back to the Overlook Hotel and she's kind of laughing when she sees the elevator. This place is no joke. It's scary by being old, by being brown, by being kind of like lifeless. And it's just the way Stanley Kubrick shot it with, of course, John Alcott. Fantastic work behind the camera.
Yeah.
But I feel like no other person can do it like the way Kubrick did it. And I like Dr. Sleep. I don't want to get too much into that, but I like it. I just like, it's so weird the way Kubrick filmed it and how someone else tried to do it and it totally feels a different way. Even when they try to recreate the scenes from The Shining in the Dr. Sleep, it's not the same thing. It's little details like just the sound when Danny's on his little bicycle and he's running around. It's night and day. It's two different worlds. And there's something about Kubrick. He was really he was doing a lot of photos back in the 50s, and he has a eye for photography, and clearly it's being shown there. All the way the lights reflects on the walls, the way he placed the carpet, the iconic carpet. It's some things that you would see today and immediately recognize it and associate it with The Shining. So yeah, for it not to be nominated, I mean, at this point, the Oscars are the Oscars, but it doesn't make sense to me that it was not nominated. And also the inspiration he took from his own experience at the Hawaii Hotel. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of that hotel, but the chandeliers, it's basically the same chandeliers, and so many details like that. There's a scene while they walk through it, and the chandeliers, they act like a flashing lights with the camera movement. If you notice, there's something hypnotic and subconscious about it. And yeah, so many things I have to say about it. I should have taken more notes because I'm kind of rambling here, but it's a masterclass of how to create a place that doesn't exist.
Yes. What he did for these locations is really incredible. The production design, especially for the scene between Grady and Jack, is one of the most stunning ever. And talking about the camera work, camera shots, camera movement, there's a lot of tracking shots, a lot of steady cam, a lot of zoom in, zoom outs, and then point of view shots. So he continuously uses the same techniques for certain shots, and it's just done perfectly. It's never too much, even though it's repetitive. But a lot of what's in the film is repetitive, from the dialogue to the camera shots. So,
and just with to go back on the paintings, there's one of them. It's in the playroom. There's a painting of a cowboy, and I was looking at the website I sent you, and the guy has his whole interpretation, which I disagree with, because one of the theories is that the movie is kind of a metaphor for the genocide of Native Americans, because first of all, it says that it was built on an ancient Indian burial ground. So there was a cemetery, and all the spirits come from there. It's being explicitly told toward the film, and in that scene, there's this cowboy, and in another scene in the hallway, there's this painting of this it's how is it called, the native girl with pigtails in the hallway. So a lot of paintings with cowboy and Indians and little details in the background, subtle things that we don't necessarily think of, but as more as we explore the film, we start getting those theories. But there's some very details that are they're out there. Everything is out there, everything is there. So now, how do you feel about it? What do you think about it? That's left to you and your interpretation of it. Yeah.
Yes. Let's see. Speaking of the Oscars, Kubrick wasn't nominated for Best Director.
Obviously
Robert
not.
Redford won for Ordinary People, and
Rest in peace.
I'm Still in Mourning.
Yeah.
Best Actor in a Leading Role went to Robert De Niro for Raging Bull. So that's an interesting argument. Who should have won there had Jack been nominated? And I don't know which Shelley Duvall would have been nominated, which category, but Actress in a Leading Role went to Sissy Spacek for Coal Miner's Daughter, and Mary Steenburgen won Best Actress in a Supporting Role for Melvin and Howard. Best Original Score went to Fame. I haven't seen Fame, but I imagine The Shining should have won for that category as well.
Yeah, I haven't
The
either.
Sound as well. And Best Picture, Ordinary People won, and the film also won Best Adapted Screenplay. So it seems like The Shining would have been up against Ordinary People mostly.
Yeah. Yes. Well, that's the Oscars. It's going to be like that every year, especially over time. Some movies age better than others, so that's totally fine.
Now, we were talking about Grady, and something that puzzles me every single time I watch the film is how the hell did Grady open that door?
Well, there you go. I was literally looking at it right now in my notes because there's a few clear manifestations of the hotel. And the first one is in room 237 with Danny, because he goes there and the door is open. And when he comes back, his neck is kind of scratched and his shirt is torn off. That's the first clear manifestation, physical manifestation of the hotel, unless he did it to himself. That's one of the things that Jack says. He's like, maybe he did it to himself. But then there's this scene where he's in the freezer and the door opened by itself. Well, who did it if it's not the hotel by itself? So that's obviously, it's clear, the hotel is haunted, but when it gets physical, it's not just like in their head, they're not just dreaming. This is one of the example where it doesn't make sense to say like, well, maybe it's just in their head, or maybe it was dreaming, or maybe this, or maybe that. It was a physical manifestation of the hotel.
Okay, so when you watch it, you immediately say it's the hotel that opened the door.
Yep.
I did watch a video that suggested that Jack did harm Danny in room 237. But I
disagree.
That's one of those out there theories. I can somewhat understand it, but I have a hard time believing it.
Doesn't make sense.
I'm more inclined to agree with you that it's a physical manifestation of the hotel.
Oh, it is.
Acting. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I feel like so many signs point towards that. And even at the end, like Wendy, when she, like the climax of the film, she's running around and she's seeing all those things. It's clear that the hotel is haunted. There's no doubt about it. So the fact that it's haunted kind of answers those questions. And of course, sometimes they're dreaming, and there's this little moments where, like I mentioned, the scene in the gold room, like he could clearly be like imagining all of those things. But the moment he's stuck in the freezer and the doors open, it kind of like answers this question. To me, it's like obvious. That's my opinion, but yeah.
Now, the gold room scene, as you focused on in your video.
Yeah.
There's a moment where Jack tells Lloyd that things could be better, which leads Lloyd to sympathize, replying, "I hope it's nothing serious." Jack says, "No, nothing serious. Just a little problem with the old sperm bank upstairs."
Oh my God.
First of all, what a way to describe your wife.
Completely, yeah, disrespectfully.
Oh yeah, but he laughs as he says that line, and then instantaneously he snaps out of it laughing, saying, "Nothing I can't handle though, thanks." Expressionless, in a daze, possessed. How do you best explain what happened in that moment?
Well, I keep going back to the theory that he was probably sleeping. So I feel like it's his subconscious talking in some ways. Dreams, they're special, but whatever happens in your dreams is kind of part of your subconscious that's manifesting itself. And that's one of the things that I feel like he's just talking to himself at this point. He's even looking at a mirror. He's facing a mirror. So to me, it's very obvious that he's just having a conversation with himself. And there's this line like, women can't live with him, can't live without him. Like, words of wisdom, Lloyd, words of wisdom. This whole conversation only makes sense in the terms of like he's having a dream and he's having this conversation with himself. And clearly at this point, we know there's no alcohol in the Overlook Hotel, but he's finally getting the first drink he's been like dying to have, because of course, he just had this interaction. Wendy accused him of hurting Danny. So to me, this whole scene makes sense in that he's dreaming, but there's also like, it's two different things. There's the physical manifestation of the hotel, but there's also this part where they're dreaming. But the spell of the hotel, I feel like, is working its magic there in those moments. But to me, it's just his subconscious talking. He's just talking to himself this whole time.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned the mirrors, because when he's approaching the gold room, he acts out with these sporadic movements whenever he passes a mirror. Yeah. And there's always a mirror in scenes where there's ghosts. And that also kind of, from what I read, connects to how there's so much symmetry in the film in terms of how shots are framed. Yeah. And kind of to suggest there's a double side to what we're seeing, which kind of goes into another theory. But before we even get to the ending,
let's say that's the thing, like the mirror. How does he get out of the freezer? Once again, I go back to that scene when I know exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's cool to have those people having those theory, and I feel like part of what Kubrick was trying to do is mess up with the audience. He's trying to get into our mind and get people talking. He did his job, but the freezer thing kind of like kills some, like most of the, like 90% of the theories are being killed by the freezer scene. I don't know. That's my opinion.
And that's why every time I watch it, I'm like, what happened? How can this be explained? How is this possible? Just that unlocking sound. But also, what a perfect creative decision by Kubrick that we never see Grady. It's just this voice. It's just so much mystery surrounding this moment. Yeah. But man, does it kill so many theories.
Exactly. That's my point. Yeah, exactly.
Now, I'm sure you've noticed this, but there are some very clear moments where Jack looks at the camera. One of his traits as a character is he looks around a lot kind of frantically.
Yeah.
And in those moments, he does briefly glance at the camera,
Yeah.
sometimes so quickly that if you blink, you miss it.
Yeah.
And I feel like every time I watch the film now, knowing that he's looking at the camera, I keep finding more and more times he looks at the camera.
Yeah.
So, what do you think that means?
It's a theme. I'll say it again. It's Stanley Kubrick looking at the audience and clearly messing with us this whole time. It's a message I think he's trying to send to the audience, and he's trying to transcend the screen. It's funny you say that because right now the Gold Room scene is playing, and I just saw it. Like, he just looked at me while we were talking. And isn't that scary, thinking that this place is looking at you in some ways, as if like the ghost would like transcend the screen? So there's something about it that I feel like it's just to mess with us, and that's one of the point of the film. And that's why it's so being talked about today. What do you think about it?
I think the audience is next, basically.
Okay.
Like, he's looking at us like, you're not safe from this, you're trapped too.
Yeah.
Can't get out of this. I see you. I mean, as he runs chasing Danny, he's like, I'm gonna get you. He gives him no hope whatsoever. So his little looks to the camera is like, oh, he's acknowledging us. We're meant to be a little scared by it. But I think it's genius because it happens so quick sometimes. He looks at the camera in the interview, in the first scene. I always miss it. I can't quite find it. But Jack is... Oh, Jack. I love Jack Nicholson. There are so many scenes in this film that he's just tremendous. The scene with the bat... He's not blinking through much of that scene. Neither is he blinking when he's talking with Danny, as they're both kind of impacted by The Shining, but of course they're not talking about it. But in that scene, I love how the score coincides with when he blinks, there's a sound. And I think he went like 47 seconds once without blinking, and it just adds to the mania of his performance and how the possession continues to run deep within him of the hotel.
Yeah, and you mentioned the bath. I don't know if we're talking about the same theme, but also the same scene. But I'm thinking about the room 237. That's one special scene. That's one that it scared me off. It's one of those scenes that made me turn off the movie because
it's a good time for a snack break.
Exactly, but the whole time, like, he are talking about the toxic masculinity. He's being so mean to Wendy the whole time. And there's a scene during the visit, one of at the beginning of the film, and there's just Stuart Holman, and he says, "Hey, goodbye, girls." There's two girls, like they're just leaving by, and he just turn around and he looks at them, clearly like having an interest in that. And during that scene in room 237, clearly like there's this naked woman and he's attracted to her. And I love the fact that it just reverts back to him. It's like, you know what? That's what happens to you for trying to look the other way. And it's just the most disgusting thing I could imagine. And talking about the production design in that room, it's such a mythical place. They talk about it the whole time. We never see it. And once you go there, it's okay. The room looks fine. There's this purple and green patterns on the floor, the purple couches. No problem there. But when he goes in the bathroom, even there, like, good looking bathroom, there's the naked woman in there. But just the switch, the moment, I think it's the movie where the movie switches from going completely like in nutty territory and everyone goes crazy from there, and it just becomes a complete like horror movie. Because before that, of course, there's signs and everything. But from the moment we see that old lady and just like with her skin, it's disgusting. Like, I feel like this is the moment where the movie switched. Because when that scene ends, or a little bit before, it's where we met Dick Halloran. Now he's in Miami, and he gets the sign from Danny that something is going wrong at the hotel. I think it's a very pivotal scene in the film.
Oh, yes, it's a pivotal scene, but one could suggest it's random, but it's very important.
Yeah.
I think the woman is a metaphor for the hotel.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful on the outside, but once you interact, once you stay for a little bit longer, it turns ugly. And the woman, I haven't watched it every time I watch the film because it is just too terrifying.
Yeah.
And as the woman is approaching Jack, there's also the woman in the bathtub drowning. I guess it's the same woman, but it's still creepy because they're going back and forth between both of them. But apparently the book suggests that a woman died in that hotel
Yeah.
of her own accord, and that's who we're seeing. But whew, that's terrifying.
Yeah, I was thinking of that because it's one of those scenes where he's looking straight at the camera, and it's funny
Yeah.
because I was filming today, and one of my clients, well, the subject I was filming was looking at the camera. I was like, no, don't look at the camera. It's like one of the rules, like don't look at the camera. But Stanley Kubrick clearly intended Jack Torrance to look at the camera sometimes. But it's crazy how there's those subtle moments you wouldn't notice it. But I feel like it's a way to attract the audience and sending us message and just getting your attention because it freaking works.
Oh, it works. It works. I think one of my favorite moments where he does look at the camera is when he's up against that storage room door.
Yeah.
We're seeing him find ways to manipulate Wendy to
Yeah,
open
yeah.
the door. He's like, I think you hurt my head. And we see him clearly look down at the audience, at the camera. By the way, that shot is fantastic. That's one of my favorite shots in the film.
Yeah, have you seen the behind the scenes of that? It's really
Yes.
great. Yeah,
And
yeah.
then Jack just snaps right out of it
Yeah.
easily. And then he helps Kubrick get up. Like, it's just so casual.
We're talking about the camera, so just a little bit also want to mention the work of Garrett Brown, which is the Steadicam inventor, and it's one of the first film to make like such an impactful use of the Steadicam because all the shots of Danny with his bicycle and everything. But it's so interesting to see how this movie was innovative in some ways, and that's also part of Stanley Kubrick's genius. But yeah, just talk about all the shots that Kubrick was planning while he was filming it, and just to see that behind the scenes shot, he's just standing on the ground, and then there's the rehearsals that comes afterward. And if you watch the behind the scene, you can see like Jack Nicholson trying to get pumped up for the scene. Such a wonderful team effort that brings us this beautiful classic. Yeah.
We don't normally get access to Nicholson in that way. So to see him in this 35-minute behind-the-scenes featurette by Kubrick's daughter, Vivian Kubrick, was really fascinating. I mean, we just kind of follow Jack through a good portion of it, and him talking with Kubrick at the table and going through scenes, and it's very unique. We see one of the greatest directors working with one of the greatest actors on one of the greatest horror films. So I'm very thankful that we do have that behind the scenes footage. We get a look at his process.
Yeah.
It was a fascinating collaboration, and Jack always spoke highly of Kubrick as well. They got along better than Shelley did with Kubrick.
Yeah.
Getting towards the end of the film, when Wendy's running around the hotel, and the hotel is shining. So she doesn't have the shining, but what she's seeing is the hotel shine. Is that right?
Yeah, I feel like it is, but I feel like she's clearly seeing it. Like there's no doubt without that. And there's like this weird sequence where she leaves the apartment where they are, and there's this weird couple with like those masks that just look at them.
Pair.
And I feel like it's one of those first moments that is very like unnerving, and it makes you feel uneasy. And started from there is just a spiral downward because she let Danny leaves, and now she's stuck with the hotel. So I feel like the hotel is trying to get her, like keep her there. But clearly, this is one we talked about it, but one of the clear manifestation, like that's beyond. Is she dreaming? Is she not dreaming? She's clearly seeing all of that. That's my opinion. But yeah.
That's interesting. So the others are imagining it, but the hotel is coming alive before her very eyes.
That's what I think. What do you think about it?
I don't know. I can't figure some things about this film out. That is one of my biggest question marks, aside from the door unlocking. What is like? So she is definitely seeing things, or she's just becoming corrupted by the hotel as well. Apparently, in the the UK cut of the film, her running around the hotel was cut out. So I don't know what that scene means, but she finds the skeletons. She hears the chanting of those in the hotel, which is so creepy. And that random moment of the bear and the, I guess, hotel manager, apparently, according to the book or something. It's not explained in the film. It's just this random shot, this quick zoom that you would see in a Tarantino film.
But I don't think that Kubrick intended it to be like word to word from the book. I think he just read the book. It made him feel a certain way, and then he made his own version of it. So I don't think like we need to necessarily like theorize everything depending on what happens in the book. But what is clear, it feels like the hotel, it's kind of like a drug, right? If you like, it's kind of, she just took like a big a big bad trip of mushroom and now she's running around. So I don't feel like there's necessarily someone there, but it's having an effect on her brain and how she's seeing things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that is a good explanation for it. It's hard to tell. I wish I could hear the chanting and what they're saying exactly. That would give some insight, but there's no captions, no subtitles when the chants are heard. Gosh, that's one of the big mysteries.
Well, I have something about that, by the way. I've just Googled it quickly, and someone said, I've read that it's Native American. So it goes back to my theory that I was telling you about how this all relates to the genocide of Native Americans. So once again, it's just a theory. We don't know, but that's one. Yeah, I feel like there's so many theories that at this point we will never get the answers. But apparently it's Native American. And it kind of makes sense with everything that's being said in the film. Also, the Hawaii hotel that Kubrick went to was in a Yosemite park. So that's also a place that was Native American. So all those things makes me feel like there's a connection there. Do I have the answer? No.
Well, the hotel is haunted because it was built on the ancient Indian burial ground. So that's the root cause of this mess. They took it over from the Native Americans and bloodshed was had. And I think it's pretty sick that they're, putting their own artwork and their own tapestries around the hotel. It's a disturbing nod to what they did to make this hotel, to create this hotel.
Yep.
But you do mention the theories, and the end of the film, we close with classical music and a zoom in of a photo from the July 4th ball in 1921. And who's there front and center? Jack Nicholson.
Beautiful ending.
Must be one of the most famous endings in horror history. But, all right, plain and simply, what do you think happens there? I understand that there are several theories out there. I've read into them. I still can't figure it out. And it's frustrating because it's not like Nolan where I can get the answers, really. But what theory do you subscribe to?
You're not going to like my answer.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know, but I love it because it works.
It seemed like you had a theory.
No, I don't know, but it works. So that's why I love it so much. And I feel like, of course, the obvious thing that the movie points to out is that it's a ghost. It's a ghost of the Overlook Hotel. There's a reincarnation. So he goes, the hotel kind of like drew a spell, to have him back there. And he ends up taking this job. So he goes there and he makes like another attempt of killing his family because the hotel is haunted. It's a ghost. I have no explanation. I'm so sorry, but I don't have the answer. But what I know is that it does freaking works. And that's just beautiful about cinema. That's what I love. Like, I don't even want to know. If anything, the movie would have sucked if they explained the whole thing at the end. So I just love that it's out there and it's the way it is. That's what I love about it.
There's two theories that seem to be popular. The reincarnation theory was reinforced by Kubrick himself, but there's also the absorption theory.
Okay.
So Kubrick said that the ending was supposed to suggest a kind of an evil reincarnation cycle where Jack is part of the hotel's history just as he's in the men's room talking to the ghost of the former caretaker. One is merely suggesting an endless cycle of reincarnation, but Kubrick says, as we've reiterated today, it's better left unexplained.
Yeah.
The absorption theory seems to be, I don't have this worded correctly, but basically because he couldn't fulfill the hotel's wishes or Grady's wishes, he is taken in by the hotel forever, for eternity, and he's absorbed into the photo at the end. We never see the photo in the film presented. Jack does walk past it, I imagine, because it's right outside of the gold room. But we never see anyone come across the photo.
No.
So that is supported by the absorption theory. But is there one that I know you've said you don't have an answer for this, but is there one that you're more inclined to side with?
I do think at this point that it's once again Stanley Kubrick playing a trick on the audience, because I don't know if you notice in the final picture, but there's one guy like 2 or 3 rows behind with a mustache that actually looks like Bob from the beginning. So maybe it's all, yeah, it's all maybe all characters. I don't know if it's the same actor, but he looks like him. But maybe it's all person that went through the hotel and they're just kind of being stuck in this loop. So that's one thing I would suggest. And once again, with the ghost and everything, I do want to look at that pictures, because while we're talking, I'll just put it up there just to look at it. But I don't have an answer, and I love it that it's not explained. Do you know that there was an epilogue that was filmed that Wendy's at the hospital and they kind of like make sure everyone's okay at the end? I think the movie would have been like not as good if they would have this epilogue. I just love that it ends on that mystical shot that just leaves us talking about it 40 years later. But I'm just trying to look if there's other people I could notice. Just the fact that right now I'm looking at it, I'm trying to find clues, shows the genius of the film. So that's yeah. But there's one character that looks like Bill from the beginning. So I don't know. I don't know, Liz, honestly, and I don't want to know. I feel like it's better that way.
See, this is where, as a Nolan fan, I need to find the answers. I know I can get the answers. So this film is a challenge for me. I thought you would be filled with answers, that you would have this all explained, but it gives me a little bit of a relief to know that not even you, this is your favorite film, you've seen it who knows how many times, that we're not meant to get the answers.
I told you you would be disappointed in my answer. I told you right from the start you would like my answer, but yeah, just being honest here, I don't have the answers, and I don't. It's not that I don't care, but I'd rather leave it that way.
That's good. There's no way I can drive myself crazy trying to find the answers. I'll never get them.
And there's so many characters on the pictures I'm looking at right now that are kind of blurred because they're in movement. It's a ball, everyone's having fun and everything. So many things, like it doesn't make sense. And I'm noticing a couple of characters that I feel like I saw during the ending sequence when Wendy is going through the hotel and she's starting to experience the hotel shining. So no answers for you. So sorry, I didn't solve the mystery of The Shining today. I apologize.
That's okay. It seems impossible. There's so many theories out there, which makes researching and preparing this even more challenging, because people present their theories as if they're right, and no one really knows.
Yeah.
The only thing I think we got from Kubrick was what I mentioned. And Jack, of course, famously never really does interviews. And again, from the Cuckoo's Nest episode, if anyone would like to put me in contact with Jack Nicholson to interview him, I will reiterate, please do. Anyway, we're not going to know. It's frustrating, but it's a relief to know. There's so much that we haven't talked about, but is there anything that you want to add before we close out?
Yeah, without going too much into those details, like you mentioned earlier, I did a video on The Shining. Yes. And I talk about the way the movie affected me, and one of the theme of the movie is alcoholism. So that's something that's very important in the film. And I don't know if you know, but when Mike Flanagan started writing Dr. Sleep, he decided to stop drinking alcohol. When Stephen King did wrote the book, he stopped drinking at that time when he was writing The Shining. And there's a relation with Jack that clearly he's trying to stop alcohol, and when he leaves and he goes to the hotel, it's him trying to escape. And so that's why the scene in the gold room is so important, because I feel like this is the hotel trying to tell him, like, go back to your bad habits and everything. And I have a special relationship myself. I struggle sometimes with alcohol, and I feel like I developed bad habits watching the film, but not just watching the film, but I started isolating myself a lot during the pandemic. And I started watching movie over and over. And sometimes, a little bit of a glass of whiskey over there, and I would put The Shining on loop. And I feel like my own problem with alcohol only got worse when I started isolating myself. So I feel like it's one of the theme of the film that's very important. But I would just get lost in the world that Kubrick built with those giant hallways and just thinking like, oh, I feel better in that place, because I don't know if it's the pandemic itself that did that. But movies is kind of a form of escapism, but at some point it can also have a bad influence on you. So it's also important sometimes to go out and not only seek help, but touch the grass a little bit and experience other things than movies. But I mean, not to say nothing against The Shining. I don't think it had a bad influence on myself. It's just sometimes there's some themes in that film, and there's something very special about how I feel like everyone that touched that material kind of like decided to throw the bottle away. So that's just something I wanted to discuss a little bit, and maybe put the link of my video in your podcast. But that's a little thing I wanted to touch on, because the scene in the gold room, clearly is being tempted by the hotel, even though it's clearly not happening. Once again, the boat scene in the gold room, I don't think they're happening for real, but he's clearly in need of help, and escaping your problem is not the solution. I guess that's why I can end it with.
I had never known that about you, about how much this film meant to you on that personal level, and you were very open about it in your video, and I applaud you for it. I know it was a hard video for you to make.
Yeah.
Yes, it'll be linked in the episode description, and I'll post about it on the All the Film Things Instagram. But I think it's interesting that isolation was wearing on you, just as it was wearing on Jack. Of course, it's very different. You weren't possessed, but isolation over time, it can have an effect on people.
Well, you say possessed. I feel like sometimes that's what alcohol does on you. It's kind of like you become, of course, it's a mental disease, but it's also a way like you feel like you're under a spell. I feel like it's one of the important themes of the film that it's not talked about a lot. How I'm not saying there's a parallel between the Overlook and alcohol, but maybe in some ways, alcohol put a spell on you and you're being stuck with it, and that the same thing that happened in the movie, and sometimes you're trying to escape from it, but it just keeps going back. So I do feel there's a parallel between both of them.
It is one of the lesser known topics discussed of the film, and very important, and I'm happy you've gone from the other side from it, and of course the world has opened up again. I hope that you weren't isolated for so long. But it is, again, you're right, it is something very important to discuss. We did talk about how he took a drink earlier, which reminds me of another conflicting bit of information. If he ever takes a drink again, Wendy can leave him. He says later in that scene where he's dreaming in a trance, talking with Lloyd, the bartender, that he has been on the wagon for 5 months, yet he struck Danny 3 years ago. So it seems as though he's been hiding. He hasn't been as sober as Wendy thinks he is.
And there's this clear line where he says, I would give my life and soul for just a glass of beer. And from that moment on, everything goes like downhill. So I do feel like it's a pivotal scene in some ways, because he clearly he gives his life and soul for the hotel, like just for a glass of beer. And that just show how it goes to tell how much it has an effect on him, but also how maybe that's also part of the reason that some of the manifestations of the hotel. It's like, once again, I'm repeating myself, but it's so weird how nothing is explained, but everything is there. It's out there. All the clues we have, they're all there.
Yeah, they're out there, but we're never going to get everything from the film. We have to do a lot of analysis to get to, not even to the end results, the explanation for much of it. There's so much that we as the audience have to do on our own.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of the toughest films to analyze, I think.
Yeah.
But I think we did a pretty good job.
We did our best, and that's why I was having imposter syndrome and feeling nervous at the beginning, because you asked me the question at the end, and sorry I deceived you, and I don't have the answers. I could have wrote a thesis, I could have wrote everything. By the way, when I was in it's called Cégep here in Quebec, but when I was 18 years old, it's not high school, but it's right before that, I wrote a whole thesis for a psychological a course, and
oh my gosh,
and I mean I did a great job. It was all those tics that Jack Torrance has during the film and everything, and I had an A+ because it's so fucking easy to analyze that way. So I really I had a good time writing that. There's so many things we could say and talk about that. Sorry, I just swore, but you could mute
it's
it.
Okay.
No, sorry, but you could
swear sometimes. I think some of your episodes are explicit, so
Yes.
It's okay.
It's
People
sorry.
curse if they want. If they don't, it's fine.
No, but you could bleep it. But there's so many things we could say about this film, and just so that I could get an A+, and I was not even a good student, says a lot about the movie itself.
What a treat to be able to write a whole essay on Jack
Yeah.
Nicholson's performance. There's so much you can grab from it, and we didn't even get into Jack's performance as in depth as we could have. That's worthy of an essay. I can't imagine how long your essay was, but it's a fascinating performance to analyze on its own, aside from the film. So that must be one of your prized, most favorite articles, essays you've ever written.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that I started writing it about the Inland Empire from David Lynch, but it
Oh,
was so complicated that I stopped like halfway through and I was like, you know what? I'll do something easy. I'll do The Shining.
easy. Gosh,
Yeah.
how confusing is Inland Empire?
Exactly. Like I was, because we had to notice like certain psychological traits and everything and try to analyze that and give example throughout the films. So it
Hmm.
started very well, but like halfway through I was like, this is not working out. Let's go to Shining. Let's go to a safe place where I could do it, something easy. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. Lynch, his films, they don't give you an answer either. So wonder how much of a Kubrick fan or how much Kubrick influenced his work.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm pretty sure pretty sure he admire his work either way because he was such a
Yeah.
good person, a good human being, a good living. Yeah.
And just briefly before I close out, watching this film and the way Kubrick takes his time with building suspense makes me wonder how much Hitchcock was an influence on him. But I couldn't
Yeah, the
really
thing
find
with
much about that.
Hitchcock, it's funny because Tarantino spoke about it recently. He was kind of like restricted because of the Hays Code. You know, back in
Hmm.
the 30s to the 60s, movies couldn't have like sexuality, couldn't have gore and everything. And he was saying how Hitchcock could have been a better director if he lived in another generation. And I kind
Hmm.
of agree with that. But I do feel like it was an influence in some ways to Stanley Kubrick.
He had to be the way they both build suspense through just silence and
Yeah.
music. It's unequaled. So I wish there was more information about it that I could have shared today because I think it would have been a fascinating connection.
Yeah, and you were just, I was just Googling while we were talking David Lynch with Stanley Kubrick. It's actually the opposite. Kubrick said that David Lynch
Hmm,
Eraserhead is a movie he wish he had made because it's a film like,
interesting.
yeah, so that's interesting. It's the closest thing to the language of nightmares. So it's kind of like
Hmm,
the opposite, but I'm sure David Lynch also really respected Kubrick as well.
that's fascinating. Both very intriguing directors that don't give you much. Thank you so much for joining me today, Matthew. I
Thanks
knew
for your
before
time,
we
Liz.
started that this would be a great conversation, and it was. So I couldn't think of a better friend to have on for this rare horror film focused episode. So
Thank you
thank
so
you for
much.
coming back on to talk about Kubrick's terrifying masterpiece.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's always great to come back here, and we'll try to find another perfect film, or maybe not to
Oh,
to discuss next time. But this one was difficult, so we did our best.
we did our best. Of course, there's so much more to say. And I don't know about you, but just going through all this information of the level of depth and detail with Kubrick's films, it's mind frazzling. Like, what lane do you go to? While you're talking, I could have asked this question. I mean, every time I do an episode, it's like the butterfly effect. It's like I could go this route, I could go this route, and very much so with this film. It's a maze to discuss, maybe.
Oh, it's so yeah, well put, but it's so
Thank you.
dense. It's a lot of things are unanswered. It's
Hmm.
beautiful. It's frightful. It's everything, and that's why it's my favorite movie of all time.
And you have a YouTube channel, as we've mentioned. It's under your name, Matthieu Côté.
Yes.
You have a few interviews in the works. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, there's the Holy Shorts Film Festival, so I'm interviewing a
Hmm.
lot of directors for that. I recently did an interview with James Wan, the
Yes.
master of horror, so that was really fun. Also, Noah Haley for Alien Earth. They're also on Horreurs Québec channel. So if you type horror well in French, you could put the link. I'll send you the link so you could link it over there. So doing a lot of interviews, loving to talk with filmmakers. Of course, I have to work throughout that, but I try to do as much as I can, as fast as I can, and yeah, a lot of them are coming up. I'm actually doing an interview tomorrow with a
Oh.
director, so yeah, keep an eye on that.
Yes, everyone subscribe to his YouTube channel and definitely check out his interview with James Wan. I know it meant a lot to you. That was one of your dream interviews, so that's very exciting. And also just follow you on Instagram.
Yes.
I'll be tagging you in all the videos, of course, as always, so you'll be able to find him through All the Film Things Instagram channel. And how is your passion project, the hockey documentary, coming along?
Yes, it's coming along. It's a bit difficult because I have to talk with the city and trying to rent
Mm.
the arena. So I do the film shoot there. Then they're
Oh.
not able to give us dates. So I'm trying to figure out some ways around that. Try to go find some dates to interview every single players and everything. It's kind of like a nostalgic, passion project for me. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird. It's not interesting for many people, but I do want to do it, and all the players are really down. It's funny because we have like this group chat, and some of the guys, they haven't talked to each other in like 20 years,
Oh
and
my gosh.
yeah, we just exchange thing over there, and they're all very like, yeah, they give me a lot of support, and it's fun. It's been really fun, and it's something I've been doing, wanting to do for a while. It's also to give me the challenge to do a documentary and to do an actual thing instead of doing like, commercial video project, doing
Yeah.
something for me, something that I want to do. And it's not easy, but it teach me like how the business works, and how to get financing, how to get locations, the planning, everything that goes behind that. It's kind of a challenge that I give to myself. So hopefully we'll see the the light of the day sometime. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm excited to watch it, and it's going to open your audience up to a whole new niche group of people, hockey fans and
Yeah.
those who love sports and film and documentary. So
Oh,
it's
I
very
mean,
exciting.
hockey is huge here in Quebec, so I know I'll find my audience here, but I'm gonna
Yes.
try to see if it goes beyond that. Yeah.
Oh, yes. And again, everyone subscribe to Matthieu Côté on his YouTube channel. It's under his name. And you can find him on Instagram as well. Definitely go through his channel, look at his past interviews.
Yeah.
Ari Aster, James Wan, Timo. I don't know how to say his last name, but you interviewed him. That was
Timuccio,
exciting.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
He's actually just did Nobody 2. He's working
Hmm.
on The Beekeeper 2. He has a lot of sequels coming up. Super nice guy. We had trouble, some connection issues the first time. Actually, no, that's not true. They forgot to record on their hand, and then he allowed me time to do a second interview. So it was super nice to do that. I also had an interview with the Philippou brothers. A lot of names, I almost forget about them. So that's a good thing, I guess.
Yes, those and many more to come. And we're still
Yeah.
manifesting a Tarantino interview. That's your
Oh
number
boy,
one
I
dream.
wish. I
Yes, I
wish. I
know.
wish.
Is there a film recommendation, a line from a film, really anything you'd like to conclude our episode with today?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here.
As I always do.
Yeah, you know what? I'll just go with recency bias. Go see One Battle After Another
Oh,
from Paul
Leo.
Thomas Anderson. Masterful film. I absolutely love it. So that's the one that just came up to my mind. So let's go with that one.
Yes, Leonardo was as amazing as usual.
Yeah.
I love him. I'm going to recommend Psycho because it's my other favorite horror film. And it's also celebrating an anniversary this year, 65 years to be exact. I love this film. I love Hitchcock. While most people gravitate towards terrifying horror films during the month of October, I opt for the work of the master of suspense. And of course, Psycho is both a horror film and one of Hitchcock's masterpieces.
It was my number one Hitchcock film, like forever of all time. And
Oh,
I just recently fell in love with Vertigo. I've seen it before, but I just
uh-huh.
fell so much like in love with it that I almost want to say Vertigo is my favorite now. But if it's not Vertigo, it's Psycho. Once again, it's good you talk about it. Shining takes place in a hotel. Psycho takes place in a motel, so there is there is this parallel there. So yeah, just want to say it was my first, and it still might be. I'm just saying Vertigo almost. It's like almost dethroning it right now. Yeah,
That second Vertigo watch will make you put it up top.
maybe.
It's my favorite of Hitchcock's. And I was just talking with my grandfather, and he said that's his favorite Hitchcock film as well.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious when you finally cement it as your number one Hitchcock film.
I feel like it goes with the moods and the years. It's always changes for me. Like I always change my tops except The Shining. And let's also give a shout out to a Robert Redford film, All the President's Men. It's a movie about journalism. I feel like the best film about journalism, and it's
Yes.
one of those films that it really inspired me to start writing and just everything about journalism that I do, because I didn't notice that until recently when I received an email from Disney. It was like, "Dear journalist," and I was like, oh, "Shit, I'm a journalist. I didn't know that." But but one of the movies that really inspired me to do that was All the President Men with Robert Redford. So may he rest in peace. I know you're still grieving, so
Yeah.
but yeah, that's one I could also mention.
I'm still having a tough time
Yeah.
with his passing. Him and Nicholson were my two first favorites of venturing into older films. They were the reason that I really got into watching films of the 60s, of the 70s. So this has been tough, but I will reiterate, yes, All the President's Men is a must-watch of his filmography.
Yeah.
And maybe, hopefully, I can do a tribute episode on him before the year ends, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm very devastated by that loss.
Yeah, give some time to digest it, and then when you know the time will come, it will come.
Yes. And thank you again very much for joining me today, Matthieu.
Thank you, Liz.
And thank you all for listening. And Matthieu, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Thank you, Liz. Bye-bye.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Yes.
Bye. Special thanks to Matthieu Côté and Dr. Gillian Smith. This episode was recorded on October 2nd, 2025.